Bleach Bros podcast is proud to align itself with Jerky Pro, a beef jerky manufacturer established by military and paramilitary veterans.
Available in 3-ounce or 1-pound bags with great flavors such as honey glazed, teriyaki, red hot, apple cinnamon, original, peppered, sweet barbecue, and if you're ballsy enough, nuclear.
Be sure to use our promo code to get some of the best jerky on the market. Use Bleach Bros 5, all lowercase, to take advantage of this offer today.
Hey, this is William Bertz from Bottom of the Lineup, and if you don't listen to the Bleach Brothers podcast, then you go f*** yourself.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is B-Word, and I am here with Jake the Hater. Jake, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm fine. You always.
Are you sure?
Every week, same introduction.
I'm consistent.
This
I'm
is
consistent, bro.
With Jake the Hater, with Jake the Tailgater,
or Jake the Douche. Jake the Douche is becoming a regular on here too.
That's just in your mind, bro. You
Well,
don't
I mean,
share
that-
I mean,
that's the
I
case.
will say everybody loves to shit on me. Like you were on you
yeah.
guested on a live earlier last week, and and you're like, everybody that comes on the show, whether they're Jake's friends or not, just love to shit on the guy.
It's true, because every time we have a guest, they just take a big old dumper right on
I
you.
don't
and
know
it makes
what
me,
I did. I'm a good person.
You've got a face for radio. It's what it is, man.
No, dude, I
But-
do not have a face for radio.
But speaking of guests, we need to give 2 birthday shout outs real quick.
Okay.
So Jordan Robinson, J-Rob, had his
Yeah.
birthday. I saw that he was going out gallivanting, so happy birthday, J-Rob. And then Tommy Thompson. Both of these 2 individuals have guested on our show in the past, and so happy birthday to both of those 2. Tommy actually had a killer meal, Jake, that I'll have to show you a picture of later, and you would probably say it's a really good looking meal. But we have another guest here tonight, and we're going to actually see if he takes a dumper on you, because
It's one of my friends. It's another one of my friends. See, it's funny too. They're all my friends.
It is. And what's really funny is that after the end of it, we all become good friends. And then here's what's funny is that they all take a dumper on you. So
A dumper.
would you like to introduce the potential dumper on our show?
Sure, but this is an old friend of mine. Not as long back as you, B-Word, but he's almost it's really close by a couple years. This is Max Green from Violent New Breed. We have known each other a long time. How you doing tonight, Max?
Good, man. Really good. I'm kind of bummed that everyone takes a dump on you on here. This is your show, man.
I know. Well, it's B-Word. B-Word, as you know, he's in control of audio. He's in control of editing. So there might be some good moments that he's just probably cutting them out. Let's just be honest.
I am.
Oh, but no, Max, I was trying to remember today how long we've known each other, because B-Word asked me, because B-Word and me have known each other since 2nd grade. And I believe we met in 4th grade, if I'm not mistaken here. Or was it 5th?
I think, okay, so I moved out to Pahrump in the beginning or middle of 4th grade, and I'm not sure, because I think maybe we met in 5th grade.
Okay.
Possibly. Did you have because you didn't have Mr. Tony Streeter as a teacher for 4th
No.
grade, did you?
No.
Did we go to the same 4th grade school?
We did, because at the time was it your stepdad
Yeah,
was working there and my mama was working there, and that's how we met.
that's right.
And then I remember we became really close in 6th grade, and you helped me get girlfriends and taught me, I
Yep.
was a loser. I was in white Lee jeans, my sister's hand-me-downs, because we were poor. But you always had my back, bro. And I will say, I mean, I think we were in our first fake band together. We were in the
Yep.
Illegal Aliens.
Oh my God, I remember. Oh my God. I tell people that, and I'm like, wow, just thinking back now, I'm like, geez.
Yeah, well, that's because remember the Harvest Festival in Pahrump. The aliens were the big thing, right? Because we're in Nevada, and the alien head. And we never played music, we never did anything. You played bass, and I would come over and listen to Metallica albums because you introduced me to that. And because remember, my mom wouldn't let me listen to that, and your mom was cool and did. And we're over at your house and you're playing bass and I'm like, hey, we should do it in a band. You're like, yeah. And all we did was draw the logos. And the only thing is we all just had different hats. There was the Cat in the Hat, the Joker hat, the Wizard hat. And everybody we had in the band didn't play instruments either. Like, hey, you should be in our band. They're like, yeah, like Ben Mann. All he did was own fucking lizards, but he was in our band.
Yep. I can remember that was the big thing too back then, was like those big Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat hats. If you had one of those and you were walking around, like, you were so cool, man.
Yeah. No, and then you moved away. It was 8th grade?
Yeah, very beginning.
Right. You moved to Vegas. And I was telling B-Word this, and I mean, because a good movie is The Matrix, and I was explaining to him, like, and the stupid millennials that listen to this show, or the younger kids, your generation sucks, but I'm going to tell you something. We used to talk on an actual phone, not a cell phone, and me and Max would talk a lot, and he described the whole Matrix movie to me over the phone, and I had to try to comprehend that in my 8th grade brain, and Max like, oh, it's really cool, and then this happens, and then there's this guy doing this, and that's going on, and I'm going, yeah, and I'm thinking, I don't understand a fucking thing, but cool, this is a great conversation. Oh, man, no, that, and the only other time we went to the movies a lot together.
That's all there was to do for Rump, was just go to the movies.
Yeah, I mean, we went to Mars Attacks together for your birthday, December 15th.
That's right.
And we were in there, and we were talking during the movie because we're young, dumb teenagers, right? Just being little assholes. And in the movie, they go to Pahrump. And you looked at me and go, hey, I thought they said Pahrump. Wouldn't it be cool if they were there? And then the next scene it was, and me and you were cheering, and everybody, because we're in Vegas, everybody's making fun of us because we're the two Pahrump kids in the theater, so pumped that Mars Attacks is going to Pahrump. The second one is when your mom dropped us off to go sing Jingle All the Way. And Beavis and Butthead. I fucking
hate that movie.
I love that movie. That movie's fucking killer. And this is the main reason why. Max wanted to go see Beavis and Butthead Do America. And I never watched Beavis and Butthead, wasn't allowed. And so Max was like, hey, we should sneak out. And I, being the lame ass I am, stayed and refused to go sneak into the other movie with Max. And so then when we got to Max's house, like a couple weeks later, he rented it from Hollywood Video or something like that. And then we watched it at his place finally. But
yeah, I remember my mom would not let me go see it, would not do it at all. And I was like, come up with this genius plan. I'm like, all right, okay, I'll figure this out.
I'm with you, bro. I would have much rather saw Beavis and Butthead Do America, because that was actually a killer movie. I still like that movie today. Jingle All the Way, hate it. Absolutely hate it. Stupid movie. Jake, you have a stupid opinion there. I'm sorry. But yeah, this is where we're at. So Max, Jake's obviously rattling off the top of his head of some good memories, and it sounds like you guys have a really good history together. What's like, I remember seeing Jake in like 2nd, 3rd grade, where he was like the littlest dude in class, and he was short and scrawny. And when I got to high school, he wasn't any more tall. He was still short and scrawny. And then all of a sudden we get to like our junior year, and fucker sprouted like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So what do you remember about Jake? What's a fun memory that you have?
So I remember, I remember when I met Jacob, he was definitely super skinny, string bean for sure. And we all had, like, back in the day, it was like those bowl cuts were like super popular for some reason. And like you part your hair in the middle and like shave it on the sides. But I remember going to his house. Oh, there's always 2 things that stand out. And I still tell both of these stories to this day. The first one was, do you remember this? Do you remember when we were at your house and in your backyard, you guys I remember like going over there and like you had like some hay bales set up, and like me, you and Caleb used to shoot bow and arrow at it. And then, but your dad had a bunch of just like sheet metal tool stuff laying all around the yard, right?
Yeah.
Well, this cat snuck in your backyard or whatever, jumped over the fence, and your dog was like going crazy wanting this cat. And I felt bad for it. I was like, no. Like, oh my God, like the dog's gonna eat the cat, blah, blah, blah. And so the cat had run under this like piece of sheet metal or some kind of, I think it was like this green plastic or some hard material thing. And I lifted it up because I was going to grab the cat and throw it back over the fence, thinking like the cat would just let me save its life. And I reached my hand under. This cat is terrified for his life, and it latches onto my hand. I still have scars. I still have bite marks on this hand from that's happening. And this cat bit my hand, and the next thing I know, I pull my hand out from under this thing, and I'm waving my arms left to right. This cat is hanging on for dear life, bit on my hand, and I'm going back and forth. Jacob's holding back his dog with every ounce of strength. The dog gets loose. That I saw this in slow motion. Dog goes, runs, jumps, freaking bites the cat off my hand and starts gnawing it and throwing it up in the air and catching it and gnawing it. And I remember, I don't even know what happened to the cat after that. We just ran inside and I was crying and it was horrible.
No, I remember that one. What's the second one you're going to tell? Because I already told B-word one and I hope it's the same one we're thinking of, but I want to hear the other one.
The second one was we were out in the desert. We always used to go shooting our BB guns, shooting quail. Yep. And freaking, I found this shotgun shell.
You were so dumb.
Dude, and I was thinking, so we go and I'm like, dude, we should shoot this, blah, blah, blah. And I go and I remember I put it in an empty plastic Pepsi bottle or something. Dug a hole in the desert or burrowed a little bit and put the shotgun shell in the Pepsi bottle in the top and then put that into the ground. And I remember there was these big leather straps or something in the desert. I think they're horse straps for farming or some shit. I don't know. And I tried to wrap it around, but it was just I just kind of I don't know, moved it an inch. And I cocked my BB gun 100 times. You're supposed to pump it 10 times. And I pumped it 100 times. And I put that fucking thing against the butt of that shotgun shell. And I looked away, I think. I don't know.
You didn't.
I pulled the trigger. I know I did that. And dude, my gun came up and hit me in the face. All I remember is running home, leaving you in the desert. I just bolted to your house crying. My mom was at work. Your dad and your mom were checking my face to see if I had any shrapnel or anything in my face. And oh my gosh, that hurt so bad. Because I remember too. I was wearing glasses, and it broke my glasses or popped the lenses out, and the lenses went flying up in the air, dude.
Yeah, that was a funny day because I remember we were all worried because you run into my house crying, screaming, you can't see, you got your little beady eyes because your glasses are gone, and everybody's worried they're shrapnel in your face, and then and it's just red, so you just got hit, and I think it just scared the shit out of you. But all we were thinking, I remember my mom and dad, why are you guys shooting shotgun shells? And we just look at you like, I don't know, I thought it was a cool idea. We're boys. It's the dumb shit we do in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I remember it was loud as fuck, man, for sure.
Well, yeah, you shot. Essentially, you shot off a shotgun. But see, I was telling B-word before we started, and I'm happy you came on because we've gotten to know we've known each other over the years. And I said Max is that friend. Fate has always made us come back and forth. Every 8 years or so, we come back in some circle somehow. Where I've ran into you up in Portland when you were on tour. We somehow found each other back in Vegas when you were with Escape the Fate just coming up, and I had the radio show. Yeah. And we would go over to Robert's and Ronnie's house and party. And we've always crossed paths every 4 to 8 years, just randomly. And so I am proud to say we have been friends for a long time. We have some crazy stories. Yeah. And you haven't dumped on me yet either. So B-word's he looks very disappointed, even though his screen's a little fuzzy.
No, dude, I'm actually super happy that Max hasn't shit on you. I know that's counterproductive to what I started out with, but good friends need to be good friends. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do remember writing a couple letters to girls that you liked or girlfriends for you. I think I wrote them for you, or I just told you what to write. I really can't shit on you though, man. We had a lot of good times together.
Yeah, no, you didn't tell me what to write. You wrote them for me, and then people would come up and talk to me, and I usually, being as clueless as I am sometimes, 7 to 10, right, Dome? Dad's on Dayquil, shout out there. Where I was just confused, and I didn't, and then you'd be like, Jake, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, because I was, you were a ladies' man. You were, and you still are. You were a ladies' man, dude. You killed the game back then, and I had no game. I did not know what I was doing.
I remember I fronted a lot. I was all talk. I was great talking about it, but I remember I had 1 or 2 girlfriends in Pahrump, but as soon as I actually got a girlfriend, I was afraid to hang out with them. I think the only girl I actually kissed out in Pahrump was 2 girls. One named Amy Martinez, which everyone dated. I think her name was Martina. I don't know.
It was Amy Mendel.
Mendel. Oh, there you go. Okay. Everyone dated her. And this other girl named
And who was the other one? Sorry,
Tiffany K.
Oh yeah, well everybody kissed her too. Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's good times back there. I don't know, man. I just found it funny that like we would go. It's like that's what they say about true friends, right? Like you can go years without talking and then catch back up and reminisce, and not that you can't, like we've probably grown into different people and different lifestyles and stuff, but you can still come back and have that camaraderie. I mean, that's why me and B-Word do this show. I mean, we're in two totally different states, have moved away, but have kept in contact this long. And this show has been nothing but great. I mean, we're seeing growth. We're seeing numbers. We love our fans.
Awesome.
And it's just a good time. And so speaking of that, you've bounced around a bit with bands. Can you tell us a little bit about your latest project, what you guys got going on?
Yeah. So my latest project is called Violent New Breed. And it's really interesting, actually, how it's evolved and come to be what it is. It originally started as kind of just a solo project that I wanted to do one day, where I was like, you know what, like I want to do something where I have the outlet to do everything. I want to write all the drums. I want to write this and write that, and not because I wanted to like be I want all the spotlight, but just kind of like I don't know, just kind of like, test myself, or just it's fun, put something out there that is unequivocally, completely, wholeheartedly, this is a complete representation of me and my feelings at this point in time, and no one else's. Like, here's a piece of me, you know what I mean? And I've always wanted to do that. And it started like that, like maybe like, I don't know, fucking 9 years ago or something. And just over the years, it's kind of evolved into separate things. At one point, I was the lead singer, and I had went out on tour with Drowning Pool, and did a tour like that. And then, afterwards, it kind of evolved into this radio rock band where this other guy was singing, and it was just the songwriting was getting better. But I really wasn't much of a singer, more just like a screamer or whatever, a yell type person. And that's what I did a lot in Escape the Fate anyways. And so that's all I really knew. And now it's evolved into much less of like a radio rock, dad rock kind of thing, into, God, I really don't even know what to classify it as. It has like some hints of like metalcore stuff, but it's really not even that. I mean, it definitely has a shit ton of energy, and it has a lot of cool production. It reminds me, I keep saying this, and I don't know if it actually sounds like this or if I just want it to sound like this, but it reminds me of like a heavy metal version of like Imagine Dragons or something like that. Like, I really like it, and that's what I hear when I listen to the new band.
Yeah, you guys remind me of like, I guess I would consider it as melodic core.
Well, okay, so actually, yeah, we've got a song out right now called Bloody Lip Season, and that was actually the first song that Garrett and I wrote together. I guess I should say like our new stuff that's about to come out reminds me of like a heavy metal version of Imagine Dragons. That song, that's definitely more. What were you saying?
Like melodic core, where you guys, there's some good singing. It reminds me, I think, of a lot of the music me and you grew up listening to together that you introduced me. So I see with your music and every band you've been with, something that you've taken along the way. And it's good to see when an artist gets to a certain point. Like I've listened to this new single. It's great. That you've seen your growth, but you've also seen every piece that you've been a part of, that you've brought into this. And it does feel like your own at this point, which is nice. Cause I liked Bad Reputation, your first album you guys came out with for Violent New Breed. It was good. But I think they're going to be miles apart if I'm not mistaken. Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I love all the songs on Bad Reputation. I do. I still love them to this day. I feel like I kind of missed the mark a little bit when the band started and everything, and I flew out to Vegas to go record just an EP with this guy I knew named Sean. And long story, he ended up becoming our guitar player, and then we recorded an album, and then we had gotten signed. Corona happened, and we sat around for 2 years for our record deal. But through him, he was a very strong personality, and him being a producer, we clashed a little bit here and there, and I just kind of drifted away from my original vision a little too much, because it's good to not be married to your ideas. It's good to let some, like, a fresh ear or a fresh perspective in. but you also need to keep the focus, and that's like, I feel like that's the thing that every artist kind of goes through when they record an album.
Now you have your album's coming out next month. Am I correct on that?
So we've gone and we've recorded like an EP, and we actually just got done doing a music video as well. And then the music video, we are dropping the music video and I think a single next month during this tour that we're going to be on.
And can you talk a little bit about the tour, who you're touring with, kind of where are you touring at? So that way our viewers in states around the U.S. can kind of keep an ear out, maybe even go see you.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. So we are, it's funny enough, I'm actually the first tour with my new band, with Violent New Breed, the first actual real tour with this lineup is going to be with my old band, Escape the Fate, my first band that ever got signed. So that's really a kind of a cool, it's kind of like a full circle type thing. It feels cool. It feels good. It'll be them and another band called the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. Yeah. And then, so it'll be a full U.S. tour. It's going to start in New Mexico and head east. We're going to, follow along, go to Florida, go up to, I think, New Jersey. I don't think we're going to New York. I know we're hitting Rhode Island, and then traveling back west out to California. So we're hitting majority of the states in the U.S. So it'll be a little over a month long, I think, and yeah, it'll be really, really cool. Also, a good friend of mine named Bobby, he owns this company called Blackcraft. He has a podcast called That Space Zebra Show. Him and Escape the Fate have been doing this thing where bands go on the show and compete to open up the tour. And so it's a really cool thing. So there's actually going to be an opener who Escape the Fate picks as the winner for like each kind of section of the United States. There's going to be like a Western winner, or like a Central winner, an Eastern winner. So it'll be really neat. It'll be a really cool tour.
That's badass.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's awesome. So what's touring like? I mean, for somebody like me who's traveled a little bit, but not really as much around the U.S. I'm obviously not a professional artist in any way, shape, or form, but for the layman, what's touring like?
Touring in a van and touring in a bus are two different animals, my friend. So they're both fun though, man. Touring in a van is great. I did a van tour a couple years ago, and a lot of people were like, "Dude, was it horrible? Like, you're used to being in a bus, blah blah blah." I was like, actually, it was one of the most fun tours I've ever done, because you got the camaraderie of your bandmates, your brothers. Being in a band is like it's like having like 4 girlfriends. It's like being married to 4 different people. You've got these people who are with you that all have your back, and you have their back, and you're closer than close. But touring in a van is also kind of crazy because it smells. And after a while, you're like, there's no room. You're like, where's my socks? Where's my this? Where's my that? Hey, that's my, those are my pretzels, blah, 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 blah. And like, you're like, where's this? Where's that? And it gets smelly in there. So it can be hectic, especially if you're touring like venues that don't have showers, or you're in like summer, you're down in Louisiana or Mississippi. It can be pretty hectic. Touring in a bus, though, is a whole lot of fun because you have like a mobile home to go back to. There's beds if you want to disappear. There's a back lounge with usually like a TV and Xbox and shit like that. So it makes things a lot more comfortable. And some buses even have like showers and stuff on them, which are really, really nice.
Any so any unwritten rules, like baseball has theirs, and In and Out has a secret menu and stuff. Is there any unwritten rules for van touring or bus touring?
Yes. Okay. So there's a couple things. I'll share a couple secrets with you guys.
Okay.
One is, a lot of people know this one, or some people do. There's no shitting on the bus whatsoever. None at all. If you poop in a bus or an RV, it just stinks the whole thing up. Like they have these enzymes and things they say you can put in the tank that fix it. They're foolish. They do not fix anything. Oh my God. Yeah, the only thing that you can do is, and I've had to do this once or twice in my day, is if you got to go real bad and you're on the road and there's nowhere to stop, or like, you got to get to the next venue and the bus driver's like, we don't have time to stop. You got to just take a bag, take it to the toilet, line that toilet, shit in a bag, and throw it out while you're driving, man.
Oh, dude, that reminds me of baseball trips in high school where you're pissing in Gatorade bottles just to make it by, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yep. Dude, one time I remember we were in a van and Ronnie pissed in a bottle of apple juice. And he threw it out the window of the van, but another window towards the back of the van was broken, so there was nothing there.
Oh.
And he threw it out one window, the lid came off, and it came right back in the other window and went all over the face of our guitar player at the time.
Oh, was that Monty?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was Monty. Oh, man.
Oh, he was just furious.
So you brought up a good point earlier, and COVID has affected everybody in different ways. And
yeah.
The music industry, I mean, you've been in it a long time. And how have you seen it change? And I guess the second part to that is, how has COVID changed the music industry?
The music industry has changed a lot in a short amount of time. I mean, I've been in it for a while, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing but a blip. And when I started, MySpace was the thing. Napster had just, hit the scene. People really didn't know how to take that. Record labels didn't know what was going on. And I remember, like I was saying, like we're on MySpace, and it was great because all of a sudden now we've got this opportunity to put music out in so many places and, have so many people hear it. But at the same time, like now everyone and their mom is in a band, and I can remember cutting demos in this guy's garage. His name is Gary Dilger, and it was for this pop punk band that Ronnie and I used to be in, and when we were in high school, and we had saved our money and gone to this guy. He had a real studio, and we were super excited, and we went to his garage and we did like 4 or 5 songs, and we went around to local shows and sold them, and other high schools and sold them, and went to go print out flyers and things, and then from that, it evolved into like the MySpace shit, like I was talking about. And now instead of printing flyers, you're, typing up blogs and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, well, that's still cool. Like you get your music out to more people, whatever. And then, from there, we got lucky and we got discovered, through by luck would have it, someone who worked at Epitaph had a family member that worked there, and they got to see us, and it was the right time and the right place for the band and for them to see us, and it all happened and worked out. And so it's crazy though, because now kids will ask me, oh, hey, like, how do I go about getting my band signed and this and that? And, now, like, I tell the people, I'm like, I have no idea anymore. Like, it's crazy. Like when I was coming up, it was, like I'm saying, it was flyers. It was going out playing shows. It was, hey, have you gone out of your state yet? Like, have you toured at all? Blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, well, I don't know how many views do you have on TikTok?
Yeah. Yeah. Or SoundCloud at some point, artists can get discovered on that. And yeah, I would imagine technology, because I remember those MySpace days. Those were like the greatest days for sharing stuff. You talked about Napster. I remember, even LimeWire, and you get all those sort of things, right? You could share all that stuff. Yeah, that's definitely played or placed a challenge on the new up and comers for sure. How has COVID changed things like within the last 2 years?
Man, that's been really hard, and I don't think that people really realize like how much of an effect it had on people in the entertainment or music business, music industry, because we are self-employed. Like that's what we do. We don't work a normal 9-to-5 job. We don't get paid weekly. We get a lump sum at some point, and we have to make that last until our next one, which we don't know if or when that's going to be, and so we're, out there like busting ass, spending everything we've got, putting ourselves in debt. And when COVID hit, it was like, if you were lucky enough to be in a semi-successful band, which by the way, everyone thinks you're rich, no one's rich, dude. Just because you're on Warped Tour doesn't mean you're rich. No, that just means like you can afford to, buy lunch and not have to call your mom to have her wire you $20 first. That's all that means. And so, but even for bands like on Warped Tour and stuff, it's like that was a huge hit because you can't go out, you can't tour, you can't work. And a lot of us, myself included, I remember thinking this, like, what am I going to do? Like, where am I going to go apply? What am I going to put on the resume? Self-played music for the last 15 years? Like, I have no experience doing anything, Like, so it was a challenge for a lot of people. They tried to start clothing lines, jewelry lines, tried to go in the studio and write for other artists. I don't know if I know that I noticed a lot of musicians going on Twitter and saying, "Hey, I'll feature on. You got a band? I'll feature on your song. Hit me up and we'll discuss a price." And people that would never normally do anything like that. Everyone's trying to pimp themselves out and get work with the only way they know how, and that's just using the only thing that they've got. The only thing that they've ever had is like their talent, whether they're a singer or a songwriter. It's like, or maybe they're an artist. It forced people to, try to figure out other things. Like, some people became tattoo artists. Some people got into music production, but it was hard on everyone for sure.
Yeah, it's like I like the point that you said. Just because you're on Warped Tour doesn't mean you're rich. I mean, when I do the TV up here, of course, everybody thinks like oh, you must make it. It's like, no, I don't always. It depends on the gig. It depends on the sponsor. It depends on all those things. I'm just lucky enough to be asked to be on TV. I'm grateful for it, but it doesn't mean I'm any different of a person. And that's why I try to tell people. It doesn't mean I'm a better chef than this guy down the road. I might be. I might not. And I don't know. I think people have taken for granted a lot of these things, like you were saying, like with COVID, like where you had to go out and find other things, and your source of income was due to your talent. And when your talent is, the monetary value of it is driven by things that you have to do live, and that's cut off, it's really hard for people. Yeah. And I mean, that's why I was amazed to see how many artists were just putting out. I think like the new trend is just singles. Yeah. I mean, it just seems like, I mean, I would, it's changed. Like, I still like to buy actual copies of albums. I think the last one I bought was Ice Nine Kills, Welcome to Horrorwood. And I bought the collector's one. I like all that type of stuff. But I mean, I talked to like my daughter who's 13, and they have no interest in buying actual things. And she's all about singles. She's like, oh, I just need that one song. I'm like, don't you want to listen to the rest of the album? Why? Yeah. And so I think that has changed. And how do you feel that is when you're going into the studio, right? Do you have the goal in mind, like we're just going to release singles, or is it like I still want to put together a whole damn album?
Well, it's funny. It's funny that you bring that up, and it's cool that you're bringing this up and seeing this firsthand, like you're saying, like through your daughter and stuff. I can remember years and years and years ago thinking and saying to my crew who I was on tour with when I was at Escape the Fate, I was, looking at how the music business was changing. One contract that we were on was ending, and another one was being put together for us to sign for our next, cycle of albums and stuff. And I remember seeing it before it happened. And I remember saying to my manager, why do we have to sign another deal for another album? It's like, we're wasting so much music. I remember saying to him, I feel like the business model is going to shift and be like, we're going to need to mimic rap and hip hop, like singles. Like, it doesn't make sense to go in the studio and spend, $50,000, $30,000 of a record label's money or more, and go out there. And if you're very lucky, have 3 songs that the Suit and Tie thinks are worthy enough to push. You know what I mean? While the 8 or 9 that are left over are just that. They're just left over. You
have a close friend who has done great with that. Ronnie Radke for Falling in Reverse, I believe, has done a great job releasing singles that have accumulated so much. I was loving the Losing My Life Mind series that he was coming out with, and every time one new came out, I mean, millions of hits right out the gate. It just seemed very smart.
Yeah, and that's the thing, exactly. Like he's a very smart business person as well, and obviously he saw it coming as well, and he put out a couple albums and then stopped. it's like, you know what, singles. And so he'll go and release a single and have, instead of putting out an album and having the focus spread, trying to, spread it across the entire album, you can just point all of that focus, all of that energy from all the fans and stuff into this one track. So you can really like take them, like the monetary value of this piece of music that you're creating. It's cool because you can put more time and effort into one track. You can put more money into one track, make that one track bigger and better. That way more people listen to it, more people love it, and you're making more money. Versus, doing an album and wasting all those songs and then blah, 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 blah. So it's like you can do that, milk it, and take what you're going to collect off that and do it for the next single, and grow it, which is like, I love that. I think that's phenomenal. And like, that's what everyone's going to end up having to do. I don't want to sign another record deal for albums. If that ever happens again, like I definitely want to tell them like, listen, man, we got to do singles. Like I'll do one album, but after that, you got to let us just do singles.
See, I think there's going to be a place for albums still. Like a perfect example was that Ice Nine Kills one, because that's a whole type of story that they're telling. Like, right? Like I'm a big fan of Dimmu Borgir, and every album they had was a big. Like one of my favorite ones was In Sorte Diable, where it's the story of a pastor who goes the way of the devil. And I mean, I think albums have a place if you come together with a full effort and try to do it, because there was nothing more disappointing, I think, whenever you go buy something and you only like 2 songs on the thing. There's a difference when a band creates an album where it's not that every track's good, but it either tells a story, there's a progression, or there's a reason behind the album. So I agree with you. I think people are going to go to singles more, not just monetarily, but also you can put in more creative effort behind it. Because I mean, let's be honest here, Mac. Do you feel like sometimes when you sign a deal and let's say they're like, we need 6 albums, do they come to you and say there has to be 12 songs on this album, and you sometimes go, oh, we did 9 great ones, but we have to fill it with 3 more, and I'm just going to throw 3 songs on there just to get it fucking done?
Absolutely, yeah. You'll sign a deal for X amount of albums, and it'll say on there that it can be no less than X amount of songs. And let's say you're in the studio and you go to your producer and you say, hey, I've written 30 songs. And he goes, okay, well, let's listen to them. Okay, out of those 30, I really think that 8 of them are like really strong. Okay, great. Well, what about the other ones? Well, I mean, they're called filler tracks. People just say, we'll just make them like a filler track, So you just kind of put whatever on there, and it's literally just to fill space.
I always felt like those were the songs when I toured with my bands that we played in between sets where we just didn't give a shit. It was like, you know what I mean? Like you just played those to get to the next one that you knew. Like you'd write your set list, right? And I remember in my band, Tax Cab 14, we used to make the joke we'd always write it on the back of our saxophone player's shirt. And so we always knew the set lineup, and then somebody would want it after the show. But it was like first song, great song, second song, good hit, and then a bunch of filler bullshit, maybe one good one in the middle, and then you're closing on a strong one. And that's how I feel albums were treated too for a while. And I think that's why our generation, not just because digitally, we got away from let's do a whole album of nonsense. Let's just come out with good songs, because I mean, that's where I'm at when I love buying them. And I love supporting bands' albums, but lately there hasn't been a lot of albums that I've bought the full thing where I'm like, every track on here is good.
Well, let me blow your mind for a minute, or probably not. I mean, you probably already know, but let me just shed some light. Is that you look at the youth today. What are they into? They're into what is their everyone's favorite app, TikTok. Everyone's obsessed with the TikTok craze. How long is a TikTok video? Several seconds, right? Even like with YouTubers and stuff, everyone is obsessed with YouTube and views and TikTok, and they're trying to get you to stay engaged for the longest amount of time possible so that you can get that ad revenue, right? Well, people are having shorter and shorter and shorter attention spans. Nowadays, people don't have the attention span to sit there and be engaged in a full album. Now, it can still happen, like with bands like Ice Nine Kills. They're established. They have been road dogs for many years. They have, eaten miles, eaten shit, eaten fucking, lived off PBJs, chips and salsa for however long they've been a band, And recently, in the last few years, they've been seeing success. They've probably been seeing a little bit of money. And, because that they spent so many years creating a core fan base, which wasn't easy, it took many, many years for them. they're able to do these albums where it's like a story, where it's like a presentation of, something where like, people like you and I are like, oh, that's cool. Like we still like that stuff. But I feel like the average person, they're just, people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And the older we get and the younger that they get and the more people that come around, it's just going to be even less and less. And eventually like it sucks. It's like, man, like, have I turned into a dinosaur? Like, is that where I'm at now? Like, it's crazy.
So Max, one of the things that we talked about prior to hitting the record button here is that we wanted to kind of talk about the top 5 albums that have influenced your direction in life. And we have a segment on our show called the Everlasting Juke Box. And ultimately what the Everlasting Juke Box is it's a genre of either songs or albums with a specific topic behind it. And so today we're going to share in our top 5 albums that have defined our path or defined our life so far, with 2 honorable mentions. I'm not going to put you on the spot just yet. I'm going to transition over to Jake.
Right.
And so Jake, what do you got as far as your 2 honorable mentions right now?
2 honorable mentions, I think one will totally shed light on my humor and how I am, and that's Bloodhound Gang's Hooray for Boobies.
No, I knew you were going to say that.
I love boobies. I love bloodhounds. I like the music. It's fun. It's an amalgamate, whatever. I can't pronounce fucking words. It's a good collection of my humor in one album. Plus, I was a big fan of Chasey Lane back in the day.
It is the best CD created. Like as far as from an aesthetic. Yeah, the best CD created. You could put your tongue right in the middle of it. All of a sudden, it's a nipple.
Do you want me to give my second one? Would be an album that when I first became an adult and I used to go to Warped Tour a lot and stuff, was Chiodo's All Well That Ends Well.
Yeah.
Love that album. I think it's also because Craig, who is the singer, Craig Owens, it was a different sound, but it still was in that post-hardcore screamo sort of vein that I really enjoyed. And it really started to let me branch out instead of just the basic emo, screaming, and metal guys. And so I would say that is my second honorable mention. Who do you got, B-Word?
So these two are kind of weird, man. You guys are going to judge me for this, and that's totally fine. I've got Def Leppard Hysteria. And the reason why I've got Def Leppard Hysteria is because there was an age when I was a kid where like this album was like a soundtrack of a few years of my life. That I would come up and visit my dad, and between my dad and my uncles and whatever, this album was playing quite frequently. So that's an honorable mention for me. Another honorable mention, and this one's gonna get some criticism, I imagine, maybe not from you two, but definitely from some people. Nickelback, All the Right Reasons. I fucking love Nickelback.
Yep,
like I think that Nickelback is an underrated band. Oh. This one right here is it brings me to a point where candidly I was starting to become an adult. Like, and so I was listening to this, I was going through personal struggles. I was like, some of the songs were actually talking to me. Both of these two, just to kind of caveat my choices here, both of these two I could listen to every single song on the album. So that's kind of where I'm at with my choices here. But yeah, those are my 2. Dude, Max, we're gonna throw it to you, man. You got a couple honorable mentions?
I love Nickelback, dude. I love them so much, dude. I get shit on all the time for talking about how much I love Nickelback, man. Everyone makes fun of me, and I'm like, why does everyone hate Nickelback? Like, they write good songs. Like, what the hell?
They do write good songs.
Dude, they're so good, so catchy. And, like, just even sonically, like, their production value and everything is just, everything is just so crisp, so loud, so thick at the same time. It's just like, oh, it's Nickelback. Love them. I used to joke around and say I'm going to start a website called churchofchadkroger.com. And they're like, you know that's so hot, right?
.org.
Yeah. 2 honorable mentions, huh? Let's see here. Can I start off with like, because I feel like I won't be able to do my honorable mentions first. Can I start?
Yeah. You want to start us up in the top 5?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I would definitely do 1 or 2?
You can go through all 5. You can go through.
Oh, okay. There was this one album from 9 Inch Nails. And it was a double disc CD. It was a double disc album. I think it was called The Fragile or something like that. Gosh, where's my phone? I gotta look it up. That is definitely one of them, man. That album was a huge deal to me.
It's The Fragile. You're right.
Is it? Okay, cool. That album, that double disc was just, God, dude. I mean, I think I bought it like twice because the first time I played both CDs just out so much, they were just done for. I love Nine Inch Nails so much, always have. I think Trent Reznor's a genius. I think that his lyrics, he has a way of saying things that are disgusting and beautiful at the same time. And I think he is just mesmerizing as a person and as an artist. Secondly, I would probably say the Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Oh, that's a great one.
Man, when I was in, I think, 5th or 6th grade, that they were just huge. They were massive. And I loved them so much. I thought Billy Corgan was like the coolest person ever. I thought their band was just so cool. They were mysterious. They were cool looking. They had a chick bass player. Like, it was so dope. I would definitely say for my third one, probably Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil.
Oh, that's a good one.
I remember being in my stepdad's office when I lived in Pahrump, and he had all these CDs or whatever. And I remember whenever we'd go to like Sam's Club or Walmart or whatever, I would ask to buy CDs, and he would always say no. And my mom let me buy a CD once, and she let me buy it was like a CNC Music Factory CD. I can't remember what their hit song was, but something that they always play like sports games. But anyways, I remember my stepdad had a Motley Crue album, and I was like, I pulled it off the rack and I looked at it, and it had a upside down star on it. I'm like, what is this? And I put it in, and I'm looking at the track listing, and I see one called Shout at the Devil, and so I play it, and I was like blown away. I was like, what is this? Oh my God. I think my last two would probably have to be definitely Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. Every song front to back. Kurt Cobain's voice, the amount of pain and beauty in that guy's voice is just can never be quantified. Like, that's just, he is forever. It's just amazing. And then I would say lastly, another big artist that changed my life would be Marilyn Manson. And I'd probably have to say so many good albums. And I'm trying to stay away from saying any greatest hits for anyone because I think that's cheating.
Thank you. It's a rule on here usually that we don't do compilations or greatest hits.
So I would have to say probably Antichrist Superstar from Marilyn Manson. Just his big out the gate, like F you to the world, just got me started on this path of like, oh my, like, holy shit, this guy, I want to be on his side, like, fuck yeah. And just shock rock. I mean, he was like my generation's Alice Cooper. You know what I mean? So I loved him. So those are my 5 albums. I'm going to have to think about my honorable mentions while you guys continue, though.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. Jake, you want me to go on the top 5 or you want to go?
I actually was going to, before we do that, before we jump into ours, is that I wanted to shout out some people on Twitter because this really got a lot of responses with our crowd today. And the cool part is reading through a lot of people's, like Fitz, did some Rage Against the Machine, some Nirvana, Metallica, Jay-Z. It was a lot of music that we all grew up, we could tell we're all generationally connected. But like, I loved Whiskey Hell podcast. Like, they threw out some Mad Caddies and Less Than Jake because I'm a big ska fan. Ebony, Linkin Park, Meteora. I gotta agree, that's a great album. I love that B-Word attached a Tenacious D GIF to respond to her when there was no Tenacious D on there, but whatever.
Doesn't matter.
And Tyler from the Inner Idiot, Tupac, Ja Rule. Tupac, yes. Ja Rule, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
I question the Ja Rule choice on that.
Get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah.
But B-Word, I'm going to let you go with your top 5. Okay. And I really want to hear because I know you've been struggling with this list. We talked about it. You didn't tell me anyone, but you kept saying you were struggling, and they're all over the place. So where are you at?
They are all over the place. So again, these are all albums that I can listen front to back. So that's my category there, my qualifications there. I'm going to go 5-1, and I do have these ranked this time. So my number 5 is Eminem, the Marshall Mathers LP. Reason why, when that song came out, so I was a teenage dad. I had been kicked out of the house, and I forget what the song is, but I'm sorry, Mama, whatever that song is. That one, Cleaning Out My Closet.
Album. That's on that's not the right album. Cleaning Out My Closet's on the Eminem Show, bro.
Oh, then that's what it is. Eminem Show.
I'm just trying to help you out here. I'm just
yeah.
Because also you moved into an angry white boy with bleached hair's house when you got kicked out, and that was
I did. And I'm gonna refresh that I am white, so I totally messed this one up. So anyway, so this is the Eminem Show. That one to me just like struck a nerve at that time of my life. Listening to all of the tracks on that one, it was like a soundtrack for that year of my life, basically. And actually, when I listen to it now, I can still go back and kind of reminisce of how I felt. So that's number 5. Nice. Number 4, Tupac, All Eyes on Me. I think that one is just a great album. I know that Tyler, Inner Idiot, picked that one out, but that. Dude, this is going to make a whole bunch of people's lists, I think, whether it's ours or somebody else's. Tupac was just a creator beyond creators at the time. Yeah. Although I am a fan of Biggie more, I think from an album perspective, Tupac had it. Linkin Park Hybrid Theory is number 3. Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, but that one came out, our sophomore year, junior year, something like that?
Sophomore year of high school, 1999. The year I told the story on here when I met Linkin Park in a Denny's and told them they sucked their face when I didn't know who they really were. Which was a great fucking evening. But anyways,
I actually had tickets to go see Linkin Park up in Lake Tahoe, and then Chester passed. So I was very disappointed in that. I had always wanted to see Linkin Park, never did.
I skipped school on the day that Hybrid Theory came out and went to go to the mall to go buy it because it was just so huge.
Wasn't it crazy, though, to think that that's how we bought records or albums? Like, we'd go to Tower Records or we'd go to some sort of record store and we'd have to sit there and battle. It's like, it's the music version of Blockbuster. We had to sit there and get in line and get all that shit. So
well, all of us tech-savvy kids were just making sure we avoided viruses and doing it on LimeWire, but I'm an asshole, so...
Yeah, I got the sexually transmitted diseases from LimeWire for sure. My number 2, Stained, Break the Cycle. I love Stained. Aaron Lewis's voice is really, really good. But all of those songs, I can listen to those, and they just really hit. Number 1. And this, Jake, I think we've talked about this before, but Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Great fucking album.
Yes, every single song on that album hits. Every single song on that album it has a spot in my heart. I just love that one. So that's my top 5.
That's awesome. And to everybody else that I did not shout out from the Twitter, I just don't have time to read all of them, but we have looked at them. We've responded. Thank you very much for responding to us. My top 5, I think is the same as you, B-Word. Albums that I can listen to on rotation, repeat. I mean, that's the whole reason they go in the jukebox, right? But I don't have them in a particular order, but they're different parts of me, almost like I have different personalities, right? Like this describes this, or this is this part of my life. So number 1 for me is going to be Good Charlotte, the Young and the Hopeless. It's not my favorite album by them. But I remember when it came out, it was my senior year of high school. I was ready to graduate, and I could listen to that back to back. I out of pop punk bands, I'll still always rank New Found Glory as my favorite all time. But I'm going to put this in there because this album, I loved every track. I liked what they were representing. I liked the sound, and it was just fun. And that was more of me trying to be a punk that I wasn't, understanding that it was still like, a little poppy and not as fully street punk and cool, but I liked it. And it was the type of shows I went to all the damn time. I also think it helped to find a lot of bands that I like now. I think a lot of them, if you ask them, this is the type of stuff they were listening to. Number 2 is Dimmu Borgir's Puritanical Euphoric Misanthropia. Now, there are a few rules with death metal bands, Swedish black death metal usually, right? That if you put 3 big words that nobody knows what they mean, and you put a naked chick on the front, it's going to be a killer fucking album. Now, this is the first one where they did a full studio orchestra in the album. And I will say, I got this album by accident from our buddy Fobs. And the only reason I picked it up and put it in is, like I said, there's a big pair of naked tits on the cover. And I was like, what is this? And it's one of those pentagrams. It's like 19 pentagrams in one or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And I just love this album. I can listen to this album, every song. I like the transitions. It's a very good storytelling album. Number 3 is Tiger Army 3, Ghost Tiger's Ride. I like punkabilly. I like that style. I think it's fun, and that sort of shows that almost country, but like that different style, like what else I call it on here, like Wyatt and the Ashes, like cemetery punk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of it. I like it. It's a different twangy sound. Number 4, my favorite rapper of all time, DMX, which makes me the hater a little bit fucking angry. DMX, It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Now, every album that he has, I the early years, and I own every album that he has, but is great. But this album, I like more tracks on it than the most. And I know it would be easier for me to say, and then there was X, because that was the first DMX album I bought, because that was when the singles came out and it was a hit. But DMX, It's Dark and Hell is Hot is probably my favorite, and that gives me my hater side. Number 5 is an instrumental band called Mogwai. And a lot of people probably haven't heard of them. Have you, Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. This is actually, my wife makes fun of me about it a little bit, but my daughter, my 4-year-old Adeline now, yells out, like, when I cook, this is the band I love to cook to in the kitchen. And so I'll yell, hey, you know, whatever machine, I'm not going to say it now because it'll turn on in my office, but you know who I'm talking to, somebody from the Google search things, whatever. Can you play Mogwai? And I can just cook to that, relax, and it's just a great variety. And their album is Happy Songs for Happy People. That's probably my favorite album by them, but I have every single one. And so that would be probably my number 5.
That's a good list, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. You know, listening to your guys' lists and stuff, there's so many albums that I wish I could put on my top 5. And I listening to your guys' and how, like you were saying, you know, each album kind of, it like describes a different part of you or like a different era of your life and stuff like that. And I was thinking about mine, and I'm like, you know, all of mine were really when I was younger, but like they were all very important to kind of me discovering like who I wanted to be. And I think that's very cool. But being a fan of just music, it's so hard to do a top 5 or anything like that, or anything at all, because I just love so much music. But I would say the Black Parade by My Chem, such a phenomenal album. Oh my God, so good, man. If you really listen closely to all the vocals that are on there and all the harmonies and things like that, like, I mean, that is just an opus. That is a beautiful piece of work. I was thinking about so many like pop punk bands and everything when you were talking about Good Charlotte. Like, God, I loved that album, The Young and the Hopeless. So good. Something I've been listening to recently, I guess I will say, is Adele. And it is the album. Gosh, which one is it?
Not 1921, or doesn't she name all her albums her age when she comes out?
I think it's 21. No, yeah, it is 21. Yeah, that's the one. Gosh, so good. Oh my gosh, that's the one with like Rolling in the Deep and Rumor Has It.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh, that album as well just is such a good piece of art, man. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Like, dude, okay, this is a true story. My guitar player had got this new pair of headphones recently, and sorry, I got a cramp in my leg. He had these new headphones. He's like, man, you got to check them out. They're so good, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool. So I brought him in my room, and I just bought these new monitors, this new laptop and everything. I was setting everything up, and I put on these headphones, and I listened to Adele's album, that album 21. And like, I turned the lights off. I had candles going in my room. I started like tearing up because of just the passion in her voice in some of these songs. And he walked back in the room, and he's like, how you like the headphones? And I turned around, and he goes, my face is all red. My eyes are about to, water. He goes, are you crying? And I was like, her voice is so good, dude. He was just cracking up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Max, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight. It's been a pleasure getting to meet you. You are the first guest that didn't take a huge steamy dumper on Jake, and I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely.
And so do us a favor. We've got some listeners that tune into our podcast. For those that might be unfamiliar with Violent New Breed, where can we find you? Tell us some details about your band. Let us know a little bit about your tour again. And the floor is yours.
Oh, absolutely. So right now, the best place you can go is Spotify. Look up Violent New Breed. We have a new song up there that we released called Bloody Lip Season. It's our debut song with the full lineup, and our singer Albert. And then we are getting ready to hit the road starting April 17th to May 20th. We are going out with Escape the Fate, my old band, my first band, and then also another band called Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, which had a pretty big single back in the day. I think it was called
Face Down.
Face Down, yeah, that's right. And so we'll be going out doing a full U.S. tour with them. And then also fans can look forward to we are going to be launching a merch store very, very soon and releasing a music video along with a new single and working on an EP. So
awesome.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, this has been a fun episode, guys.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. It's fun to get to know friends of Jake that have different experiences than I do with him.
Yeah.
Because even though we go back a whole long time, there was a period of time that he was with you and I wasn't around, and so it's kind of crazy. Well, this has been fun, guys. So Jake, you want to close us out?
Thanks for all the dirty talk. Come back and get sanitized.
The music from this episode is courtesy of Max Green and Violent New Breed. Make sure to check them out on Spotify and listen to their new single, Bloody Lip Season. For more Bleach Bros content, including our socials, merch, and streaming sites, please visit Linktree/Bleach Bros Podcast. Linktree is linktr.ee/Bleach Bros Podcast, all one word.